Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hiles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm the rock star, Derek LeMaster. I made a deal with you-know-who.
I would have made a deal with you-know-who to avoid this week's movie, Shock 'em Dead, but that didn't happen. So this week we are reviewing Shock 'em Dead, a wild experience in a film. We will talk about it in depth this week. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
Doing good.
I'm tired. I'm tired. I took a shower right before this to wake myself up because I was about ready to fall asleep in bed.
Oh no.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was finishing the movie because if you watch this on Tubi, the runtime is actually 4 hours longer.
Yeah.
Who would have known that? But yeah, Shock 'em Dead. We can't say enough about it. We will get into it. Guys, I would love to sit here and chat, but we have to get into the movie. And before that, we've got to get into the horror news. And we've got a bunch. There's like literally a bundle of news here. So I'm going to go through it and we'll get through them. And I can't wait to see your expressions on some of these.
Okay.
All right. Let's start here. Lydia. Zach Kreger of Barbarian is writing and directing the next Resident Evil movie.
Oh my gosh. Resident Evil?
Yeah.
Dude. That's awesome.
Yeah. I was shocked. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That's a big, I mean, we have these great genre directors doing these big projects. You know, Robert Eggers doing the Dark Crystal and then, or not the Dark Crystal, the Labyrinth sequel. And then we have Dark Crystal, because you showed me that videotape earlier.
Yeah.
And then now we have him doing Resident Evil. There it is. It's just like, that's crazy.
That is.
I mean, I'm
crazy.
excited.
That's awesome.
Barbarian.
Yeah.
Barbarian
was great. Zach Kreger just feels like an old friend of mine. I used to watch The Whitest Kids You Know religiously. I was like very obsessed with that show. So just anytime I hear his name, my ears are like perked up.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. So, guys,
I want to go on a quick tangent really quick about Resident Evil. I wish that it were a franchise, like a video game franchise that I would have gotten into. But like, I was Poe, and back in the day, we only had one game console, and
it was 2600.
No, well, we did have it. We had Atari, we had Nintendo, we had a Nintendo 64.
These sound like
we had a Sega.
These sound like 4 video game consoles.
Well, I meant like
he's lying to
we
me.
only had like one at a time. What I'm saying is that came out for the original PlayStation, which we never invested in the PlayStation. So I didn't even get exposure to those games until I was at probably Joey's house or something like that. That was really my tangent.
No, I'm interested to see what they do, because obviously it's going to reboot because they ended the Paul W.S. Anderson saga finally. And those movies are fine. We'll get into them eventually. But they have very little to do with Resident Evil, the games. They start throwing video game characters in eventually. But like, I watched a whole documentary, and there's like a new feature-length documentary coming out about George Romero's Resident Evil. He was originally hired to write and direct it. And I've read his screenplay, an early draft, one of the drafts of his screenplay for Resident Evil, and it was fucking great. It was the video game, just with some Romero-isms. Super faithful and super awesome. I read that back in, I'm wanting to say, high school or right after high school. Yeah, it was after high school. But I read it around my college years, and thought the screenplay was excellent. I sat and I read it all in one sitting. So I'm excited to see what he'll do with Resident Evil. Maybe it'll be a little more, video game accurate. All right. So we have not done The Mutilator yet, the 80s slasher film. But we talked about how they were doing The Mutilator 2. Remember that? Well, it has distribution, which is great. So it's been picked up for distribution, which means that we'll be able to start seeing it here soon. Guys, I'm curious about how you guys are going to feel about this. The Faculty is getting remade.
Huh. I don't know. I feel like depending on who they cast, I feel like it's like kind of like a fun celebrity grab bag,
Yes, I think that.
Go ahead.
I think there's room for improvement on it for sure.
Yeah,
it's not going to mess with because the original's not like a 5-star classic. We all enjoyed it,
Yeah.
It's not like remaking Halloween where you're like, what's the point in that? It's a movie that's like, oh, okay. I mean, the execution was good, but it could be, the special effects are way better now.
Yes.
And who knows? You're against it, Derek.
I'm just I don't know why just name it something else.
Well, because
I know
you have that IP.
Some sort of like backing. I understand having the IP. I just okay. I won't be watching that one.
Yeah,
more than likely.
We'll watch it. You're gonna watch it.
If they come out with a killer trailer, they could persuade me. But
yeah, as long as it's not like directed by Rob Zombie or something.
Yeah,
Lydia, that's his comeback right there.
Lydia just put it out in the ether. Now it's gonna happen.
It's got a death curse.
So let's talk about this really fast. Isabel Fuhrman is starring in a new movie called Die by Night, featuring monsters from the Smile 2 creature designer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So Die by Night is set over the course of one night in a world where the only way to survive, to see a new day, is to trust each other and stay in the light until you make it to the wall. So it's one of those, says runaway Lucia, which is Furman, must find her way to the wall where safety awaits, while an injured but determined Barry, played by Ben Hardy, promises to get them there. But the Horde are not the only threat out there. The clans, tribes of people whose survival and prosperity depends on selling and trading humans to gain strength and numbers, also stand in their way. So, sounds like an interesting premise, right?
Mm-hmm. I like the idea of the creature designer. I want to see the creatures.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, yeah. Obviously.
How are you thinking about this, Derek?
I'm excited that it's. I liked the Smile 2 like creature design, like the end one. We talked about how some of the people who smile just aren't convincing enough. But yeah, I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Yeah. And finally, so I saved the biggest news for last here. So we've got a double whammy here. We got some Scream 7 casting. Some more Scream 7 casting. So first, Scott Foley joins Scream 7. Now, you'll remember Scott Foley played Roman Bridger in Scream 3. We don't know who he's cast at. I'm assuming it's Roman Bridger. But he has been cast, right? Also, just announced right before we got on here, Matthew Lillard is returning to Scream 7.
No.
Again, we don't know who he's playing. I'm assuming it's going to be Stu Macher, which is starting to lead since we have Roman Bridger, I'm going to start going down the path that I think this is some kind of hallucination scene, right?
Right. Yeah.
Where Sydney's seeing the past killers. Him? I don't know.
I know you can't answer that question. I'm just out loud like.
What do you guys think of this news? I
think that's bold. That is bold news right there to be just throwing Matthew Lillard's name around like that.
Yeah.
I cracked it. See, what happened was when the TV fell on his face, he didn't actually die. He was put in a coma for 25 years, and now he's back.
Well, what about Roman Bridger?
I can't come up with every excuse to give people. I just came up with his.
That pause was the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a rumor floating around that there could be like some kind of hallucination scenes or something. And I'm starting to believe that that's probably the case. Like maybe Sydney's digging into the past, or she's, you know what I mean? She's seeing all of the killer's past, something like that.
Oh yeah.
Because for Roman Bridger, you know, for Scott Foley to be announced, and then so here's the thing: if Scott Foley was not announced to be going in it, and then it just was Stu, Matthew Lillard casting, and then we would be thinking, you know what I mean? Then we'd be thinking, oh, Stu's alive, definitely alive,
right?
And I think coupled with the Scott Foley news, it's starting to kind of lean that way, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Or it could be a trick.
It could be. Maybe Scott Foley's not even in it and they're lying to us.
Well, I mean, it could be, you know, to make you think that there's going to be a hallucination scene because of that. But then, you know,
but I mean,
because I don't know. There's no way Stu is alive. There's no way.
There's definitely no way Roman's alive. Sydney laid in there, held his hand until he died.
Yeah.
After stabbing him. And then the police were there and everything. There's no way he's alive. You know what I mean? So we'll see. But that like shocked me. I was about to get on and I got an alert on my phone as I was watching Shock 'em Dead. And I was like, holy shit, what? Okay, what? I had to, you know, get up here and read about it as soon as we were done. And that wraps up the horror news, guys. I wanted to spend the most time on that Scream news because that's just kind of a shocker. Speaking of shockers, though, guys, Shock 'em Dead. Wow, we watched Shock 'em Dead tonight. We did.
We did.
So, Derek, you picked this because you said you remember watching this as a kid.
Yeah, you know, in the 90s when it was the Wild West of television. Now, to be fair, I'm pretty sure I watched this on something like USA Up All Night, and so like rewatching it, the adult content. Well, I mean, the nudity specifically, I don't recall, but it wouldn't have been shown that way on network television. So, you know.
What all did you remember from this movie? Just the
only
concept?
Thing I remembered was that I have a weird picture of the main character like standing like this with his big ass hair, and I remember the guitar, like the guitar
the double guitar, yeah,
and I remember him like having to like eat people or like suck their soul out. Literally, when I searched for this, I was like, 80s movie with rocker guy who eats people. And the Google God knew what I was talking about. It must be a very popular search is what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have never not only seen this movie, but heard of it. How about you, Lydia?
No, neither.
So this was
super happy.
This was a 100% first watch. The movie was made in 1991. Came out in 1991. So at the tail end of hair metal, basically. The hair metal was in its last throes. We were starting to get into heavier territory. The Black Album came out this exact year and kind of blew the doors off of what heavy music was. And then grunge came out about 3 years later. But when this movie was kind of written and conceptualized, 80s hair metal was the king of the heap. Guys, this movie is fucking it's not good. Obviously, we'll just get that out of the way just to begin with, and we'll talk about what we're rating it. But this movie is not good. Obviously, time hasn't been kind to the transfer of it either. It's shot in 4:3, so it's not scope or anything. But when this movie started, you guys, and we get the opening credits, and there's just a giant block of black on the bottom of the entire screen, and we only get to see this much of the screen. I was like, what the fuck is this? Looks like we recorded this with some guy's video camera. What's going on?
Well, I did read some of the notes, and maybe that is what happened.
Yeah.
But let's do a little bit of backstory before we get into this. So the script was written in 3 weeks, which seems like for it to be written in 3 weeks means that I don't know what they did with the other 2 weeks and 13 days. But this was written in 3 weeks and shot over 3 more weeks. They shot this they used 3 weeks to shoot this. 14 hours one day to 20 on another, Monday through Saturday. Derek, we're filming a movie in a couple months and we're shooting it in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
That's just wild that this one took 3 to shoot. So the thing that I was really interested in is I'm a guitar player. I've played the guitar. I've been playing the guitar since I was 16 years old. Rock and roll guitar, especially heavy metal, all sorts of hard rock, metal, blues, classic rock. And so I'm watching the guitar scenes, and I'm like, how precise some of the notes are and stuff. And I was like, the actor's 100% not playing it. I was like, who did they get to do the guitar stuff? Then he pulls out the double guitar and he starts playing the double guitar.
Yeah.
And there's only one guitar player that I know that was famous for doing double guitar, and that's Michelangelo Baccio. And I went on IMDb, was searching the notes, and 100% they got Michelangelo to do the guitar doubling. And I was like, that's fucking wild that they got Michelangelo Baccio, who's a virtuoso guitar player. He literally does the 2 guitars. He can do that.
That's insane.
Yeah. So I was like, what is going on here? And then, so that's like the little bit of notes. And then, Aldo Ray, by the way, this was his final film. He's in this movie. Who does he play in this one? I forget.
You're gonna say which character was he? The one who got his face stuck in the toilet, or the?
No, he's the pizza guy. Yeah,
pizza owner.
This is his final film. What a one to go out on.
Yeah.
So yeah, guys, where do you want to start with this thing?
I think we got to start where we always start. We got to start at the beginning.
Oh my God, Derek. We're not going through this beat by beat because that would take us 4.5 hours because we have to add all the ads.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I got to say that this movie isn't quite what I remembered it being. Maybe it is. Like I said, I only have very small recollections, but like, man, some of the actors in this movie are something else. Like, how he plays the nerdy character.
Oh my
and
god!
And then he transitions, and he just has that like giant ass wig.
Dude, when he popped up with the wig, I literally popped. I laughed so hard. I looked at my wife. I was like, "Look at his wig! Look at that hair! What is going on?" So they're basically kind of telling the bad guy version of like Coxie, right? To a degree. I mean, he's a nerdy kid that gets his power, but it's a voodoo woman, which I think is probably one of the most offensive, stereotypical voodoo people I've ever seen in my life.
Yes, it's bad. It's very bad.
Her walk,
she did great.
Is going on with that?
Like, she did great. I loved her, but like, I was like, this is so not okay.
No, and I would kind of push back on that. She did great. Some of the line reading are not what I would call good.
Right. I mean, yeah, we could debate that, but like, as far as like her, I was like, I like her. Like, I don't know what it was about her, but I liked her. But I also felt bad that she had to paint her entire face in every single scene.
Yeah, differently each time.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know about all this, but
so
and the walk was atrocious.
Yes.
You guys are gonna feel really bad when you find out that was her natural gait.
No. And I think she was supposed to be an old lady, but she clearly was not an old lady.
No, I think that's kind of what the walk was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But that's not the case anymore. So here's what's funny. The Stephen Quadros is our main character, Martin, right? Here's what's really funny is he actually was in heavy metal bands, but as a drummer.
Okay.
In the early 80s.
That's funny.
Yeah. He looks like, he genuinely looks like a rocker. Like, he's got the face for it. He's like, he wears it well.
Dude,
the wig maybe not so much, but
he's a drummer for a band called Snow from 1978 to 1981. Oh, and he actually auditioned for Kiss after Peter Criss left in 1980.
Okay.
So
he knows all about those auditions.
So he was a drummer. But and now he does MMA like commentary, I guess. I don't watch that, but he's called the Fight Professor. He does commentary. Oh. But guys, this whole setup in this whole all of it. I mean, we get them playing their I still don't know how they got clearance for Purple Haze. It just makes no sense to me how they got that.
The movie opens with like the Purple Haze song, and you're like, wait a minute, like, hang on, and then the guy starts singing it, and you're like, oh no.
Oh my god, dude, that character, the singer,
I love him. I love him.
He's wild.
He's my favorite.
Oh my god. He does like this kind of thing.
Oh gosh, he's so corny. Like, he's so corny.
Oh god, so corny.
He was definitely like, you could tell he was like not a rocker in real life.
Dude, the best is when they do the audition and the one guitarist comes on and he's not terrible. He's mediocre. Yeah. And he's just like, get him out of here. You know, we need people that can play my songs or whatever.
Wait, I thought that guy did really good.
I was like, I thought he was fine. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, I know a guy who plays guitar in my dad's trailer park. I don't know if he's good, but fuck it, let's just like,
okay.
Wait, what?
That kid had the worst line reading in the whole movie.
Oh God.
Like that kid was just a kid. Like he was not an actor.
No. And
he just had long hair, so they put him in.
Yeah,
when he does his so when he quits his job, which by the way, the nudity, they definitely were like, well, we got to sell this movie somehow. Let's just put a bunch of boobs in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the woman starts getting
right off the bat
dressed and he immediately peephole. You're like, oh my God.
Yeah. Did not like that.
I think it is hysterical that it was a pizza on the wall and it was a pepperoni that he lifted, moved out of the way.
He had to climb up on a table.
I know.
Like in the restaurant.
Oh man.
To peep through a hole to like watch a girl change her bra at the restaurant. Why is she changing her bra at the restaurant? Who does that?
You mean that's not a random or a common occurrence?
I mean, I would usually put that on at home, and then if I was going to change into a uniform, it would just stay on. That's just me.
You're doing it wrong, Lydia. You've been doing it wrong your whole life.
Yeah, so she had her work bra.
Listen, you're supposed to be topless as many times as possible throughout the day. Don't you know this?
See, I usually try to avoid that if I can.
Way folks can like peep on you with pepperoni pizzas. That's the way.
That is such a nightmare invasion of privacy. Like I hated 100%. It. I was so upset. I was like, this movie sucks.
Yeah, and then you hadn't even got the half of it yet. You hadn't even seen like the cinematography, direction, acting, any of that shit yet.
Right.
Writing, lighting. Dude, when he gets in the fight with this boss and he says, "Hey, fuck you!" I fell to the ground. The first part of this movie I was like, hey, this is fun. It's bad, but it's funny. This is all right. And then he goes to the audition and our corny guy is just like, oh, like, we found him, guys. The worst guitar player in the world.
He was pretty bad, to be fair.
Oh, yeah. But the fact that after he tells his boss to fuck off, he goes back after the audition. I guess that 1 in a million audition didn't turn out for me. I probably should go back to my pizza job. But what bills do you have? Because the guy that owns the trailer park says you haven't paid rent in 6 months. You're still there. He just finally got sick of your shitty guitar playing and told you to get out. So the sequence of events that lead him is so hilarious because he sees the voodoo woman outside. He tells his boss to fuck off, goes to the audition, sucks, gets fired from his job again, goes to his trailer, gets booted out, and then just is like, I guess I'm just going to that voodoo woman. Derek.
Yep.
What do you think of this transformation scene?
Oh, where he like goes into the afterlife or whatever it is after she stabs him?
Yes.
They had to have had a funny trip before they wrote that. Is all I can kind of say. I mean, it was nonsensical. Although this is where you get the double guitar by the devil or whoever it is.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, was it really that bad?
Yeah.
All right, well, fine, to each their own, I guess.
But man, when this thing, so he wakes up with the hair and everything, and we immediately get to see multiple more breasts because there's like 3 women in the house, and they're like, oh, you know what? here are their boobs.
Yeah, I did not like any of this scene either, of them just being like, this is all yours now, like the whole house and like this and me and her and we're all yours now. Yeah, and he's just like fully takes advantage of that. I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like,
well, he's a fucked up guy. Yeah,
like it would totally, like, wouldn't you like be like, I don't know about all this. And
yeah,
let's start making out with her and like groping her and stuff. Like, okay.
I don't know. Derek, what would you do?
That's an unfair question.
I don't know. He was like such a geek. Like,
he definitely like, yeah, you know, his.
You think he would be shy a little?
I mean, to be fair, I would have. If we're throwing ourselves into this situation, let me tell you, there would not be a more awkward person than me.
Well, you would have found out the backstory. You would have found out their backstory early because you would have said, it would be really interesting to interview you.
That's exactly where I went for my inspiration to how I would react, because I've been in a situation like this before, and let me tell you, it got awkward.
But man, their backstories, the exposition in this is anything but natural. Like,
oh, I know.
Sarah said, why are they telling this whole thing like this? And I was like, because it's the horse riding. I don't know what else to tell you.
Truly, yeah. It's I was kind of impressed at some points in the writing. Like, I was like, oh, they were like kind of smart enough to like put certain things around, like the
this together.
The needle, like how that came into play at the end.
Oh.
And I was like,
yeah, but that's really weird how they did that.
It was weird, yeah. But I was still kind of like, they thought about it.
Throw them a bone for that one. So all the stuff is murky at best, the mythology and everything. But we do know, like, so we get some. Lydia, what do you think of these makeup effects?
What makeup effects?
On the burnt girl, and then the
okay
ugly girl.
Yeah, I mean, they were not great. I mean, they were pretty bad, really. They were, I mean, pretty basic. Because you see, like, the first one we get is when he sees her reflection.
Correct. Yeah.
And she's just kind. I mean, it's fine.
To go to town.
Yeah. It's like not terrible. Which at that point I was like, Derek, like, what kind of movie did you pick?
I almost thought it was softcore porn, right?
I did too. Yeah, I was like, dang, we're gonna get like a whole weird sex scene right now. But luckily,
I literally thought that.
Luckily, it
whatever. I can't be blamed. It was like 1995 or 4 when I saw this. Okay, that's like I don't even want to think about how long that was. It's gonna make me depressed. It's like 30 years. So
yeah.
No, it's super.
The transitions at the end. That's like the Wolfman transitions of her being burnt were really, honestly, terrible and confusing, because I was like, because she was burnt and she sold her soul to the demon world.
Yeah, that's what they call it. Yeah,
to be beautiful again. But her curse is that sometimes she can see herself in the mirror as burnt.
It's so confusing to me.
It's silver, I think, is what she said. Which, by the way,
silver.
I would remove.
I thought she said sober.
I did too.
Silver. Yeah. Wait, what'd you say?
No, she said sober.
I thought she said sober.
No, I think she said silver.
That would kind of
think of the times. Think of the times when she. No, think of the times when she was seen. She was seen in the. It wasn't a direct mirror, because he asked her, "Why didn't you see you in the mirror?" It was like that bedside thing in the guitar. And when they were in the pool, like they had that like champagne or like that bucket.
Oh yeah.
Was that right? Okay.
So maybe that is what she said. I thought it was like something to do with sober, and I was very
That's what
confused.
I did too, and I was so confused too. I thought she said sober too, and I was like,
but
what?
But even with that,
I would have gotten rid of everything that was silver in the house.
Yeah, no kidding.
That doesn't make any sense. That's like your fucking kryptonite. Don't have it around your house.
Yeah, or food.
Yeah. Well, dude, to be fair, the only ones who can't eat are him and there was one other girl.
Yeah.
The girl. So what's hilarious? What's hilarious is this plot device is so fucking funny. That first of all, you can't eat, and in order to eat, you have to kill. That's the only way. And if you eat regular food, you just puke it up. Also, if you don't eat for like a day, you like start to like die, I guess.
Yeah, but you start to puke more.
The fact that his weakness is food is so fucking funny. It's so good.
It's so random. It's so weird.
It is.
He can't
the fact that
anything.
He defeats him. He defeats him by getting some like food concentrate. Is
also, what kind of food concentrate was that?
Looked like toothpaste, right?
It definitely looked like
toothpaste.
Yeah. Why did they do that?
Probably
it probably was toothpaste.
Let's kind of talk about the kind of kills and some of the plot a little bit. Because I mean, we have Tracy Lords is in this as like the band manager, and she's kind of the final girl, and she is the girlfriend of the bass player of the band. And when we get like his first like kill, his first kill, he goes to the pizza place, and dude, so why is he being a dick to those coworkers that were nice to him? First of all, like they were nice to him the whole time.
Like that was extremely rude and violent.
Yeah,
didn't make sense.
Did not make sense
because he's turning to the dark side, is why.
Yeah, he's just evil at this point.
and so he, goes to kill the pizza guy and sucks ass at it, and has to have help. What do you think of that scene?
It's just so bad. I was like, I was on the edge of my seat because I was just like, what is happening here? Like, why is he getting his butt kicked right now by this guy?
What's his powers exactly? They said that he's near invulnerable, but he like getting his ass beat by this old pizza man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the one girl who saved him was kind of like, you can't let yourself get that weak. So apparently he is diminishing. But yeah.
No, they explain it in that scene. I think that
was his first kill. Yeah, that was his first kill. He didn't know. He's just growing into his horns, is what it is.
No, they do explain in that scene, but what Lydia was talking about is watching that scene. She's just like, the fuck is he getting beat up by this old guy?
Yeah, I just did not know like what direction this was going.
Let's talk about this
movie's just not what I expected it to be, honestly.
Oh no, and it's also like a slog. It's a slog.
It is. It's got lots of. They could have trimmed this movie up by a lot.
Yeah,
and like the blocking in scenes are just atrocious. The blocking in scenes is just like, you have scenes where you have a group of people, right? And so you'd shoot a master, but you'd have it staged where you could see the master, and then you'd shoot probably 2 shots, 3 shots. You know what I mean? Overs. And they have it blocked to where basically the person's head's the back of the camera, like when they meet the record producers. The blocking of that scene is just so, I was like, it drove me nuts. I was like, what are we doing here? What is this? And the scene where the voodoo lady comes and visits him at the house after he throws his party, and they walk into the room. That scene is so awkward. The blocking and staging of that scene is so weird. Kind of walks in. She's like, how is everything going? You're just like, what is going on?
Dude, seriously, like, what were they thinking? He's like, you came here for that?
Yeah, which is a funny line. But what is so funny is like just the way it's staged. Like they come in and they're just staged awkwardly. Then when they leave the room, the camera lingers on them while they walk 5 steps to the door. And you're like,
yeah.
Why didn't we just pick them up leaving or anything else?
Man,
just so bizarre.
You know,
they reminded me of something, and I can't put my finger on it. Like, what does that remind me of? There's another movie that's just cut.
It reminds you of if when you got your buddies together in a camcorder and you shot some shit.
Yeah, literally.
Right, Derek?
Yeah, I would say that that's pretty accurate. I mean, you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking one day when we run out of ideas, we're going to remake this movie.
Juice it up, baby.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the music festival scene, because this scene's fucking hilarious. Because the lead singer decides he wants to do heroin right before we start. With like the most wild syringe I've seen in my life, by the way. The goddamn turkey baster. And then they start that fucking Virgin song. Oh my god.
What a stupid song.
Wait. Oh man, I had it up here earlier.
What, you had the lyrics for it?
Well, no, I looked at the quotes because there's one quote that I really liked in this movie. And it was I'm a virgin girl. I wait till I'm married. I'm a virgin girl. I don't go down on my knees.
That's it. Yeah.
Like, man, I am not a lyrical person. I could 100% come up with something better than that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's the point. Maybe it was supposed to. I mean, it's probably supposed to be bad, but goddamn,
yeah,
it was bad.
Like it's embarrassingly bad.
Yeah, and so when he does when the lead singer, what's his name, Johnny or something like that?
Yeah,
was that right, Johnny?
Johnny Crack.
Yeah, you're right, Johnny Crack. Yep. So when Johnny does his freaking. When he goes on stage and he takes his jacket off,
yeah,
with his back to the audience, so he's like,
yeah,
start singing the song. I was just like, oh my god, this is like, you know, we talk about the dance scenes in Smile too, but Jesus Christ, give me more of those.
Yeah, yeah.
And dude,
I think this was my favorite part of the movie was just him. Performing.
It's really funny. Yeah, it's really funny because he trips old Johnny and just decides to take his song and start singing it.
Yeah.
And then he starts singing all the other songs. He's like, they're not even supposed to be doing this song. And it's Purple Haze again. Again, they used the song twice. How'd they get clearance to this?
Yeah.
And dude, he just pukes on that woman.
Dude, it just registered that this movie played on TV and young Derek watched it.
Yeah.
Like, this movie was on television.
Mm-hmm.
What? That's so crazy.
Yep. Yeah, and Derek remembered it and watched it. That is hilarious.
Derek just probably wanted to watch it for Johnny Crack.
No, it was 100% whatever. A 10-year-old Derek would have been
Tracy Lords
all about this movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
Tracy
I didn't
Lords.
know who she was, but like, I mean, even though there most likely wasn't nudity in the version that I watched, I mean, they were still in like lingerie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Score.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. That's So he goes to kill that woman, and he decides that he needs to take her bra off in order to do it, of course, so we see more boobs. Up that boob count.
Well,
Yeah.
No. So this, I don't want to skip over this. This is my favorite line in this entire movie. And she was like, she says, "You want to go back to my place?" "No, I want to do it here." And she said something, and he goes, "Well, you're going to heaven, and I'm going to hell." But that's whenever she had taken off. She did it herself, but yeah. But that scene, I was like, you know what? In this movie, that is the best written line that I think has occurred, because the "I want a fucking pizza" is not it.
Guess they were right to put so many boobs in it. I got a Blu-ray.
Yeah, yep. Or as I like to call it, boob-ray. All right.
That would be appropriate for this.
What were we where were we? What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about this kill. Yeah. So it's also hilarious that not only does he stab her and then suck her essence, but old boy's like, "You stole my band. I'm going to, I guess, beat your ass." I don't really know. And he sees him like with his green eyes. And he chases him down. And this chase scene is literally the worst chase scene I've seen in any film ever. What do you think?
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
You know,
I barely remember it. I feel like it was so dark.
It is super dark. And then he just pops up behind some boxes and goes, "Bah!"
Yeah, but it is hilarious the way that he screams.
Yeah. So, guys, let's talk about the I don't know. Do you guys just want to skip to the end of this thing, or is there anything else? Because there's a bit with the the bass player sees them kill a girl who also takes her shirt off. Sees him kill her. So he puts the police there, and they shove her body in the dishwasher. Apparently, keep it from the police
and the detective.
Yeah, what do you think of these bits?
I don't even know. They're so goofy. It's like the police did not even try to look. Like, they could have just looked through the window and like watched the whole thing happen instead of just knocking on the door.
Yeah. It's just hilarious. So I guess let's just mercifully get to the ending of this thing. So we get some very vague, and I mean very vague, like kind of voodoo ritual that he's supposed to perform.
Yeah, because he is like in love, or thinks he's in love with
Tracy Lords
character, and she's obviously dating the bass player, and she loves him and is like conflicted about her feelings. So he's like trying to make her one of them, of like the
demon world
people, so that he can just like keep her forever with him.
Right.
She doesn't want that.
So the ritual has something to do with like a snake, him playing the guitar,
water,
baptizing her,
and a little potion,
and a little bit of a little thing, and then also drop some of her blood, right?
Yeah,
sure.
Something about her blood, was definitely
And so he tries to do this earlier in the movie, and she just leaves. So then he ties her up, and they go to the rehearsal studio, or she knocks her out, and they go to the rehearsal studio, and they do it in a kiddie pool. And what do you think of this ending?
And so, like, the band that they were supposed to be opening for is like, here's the guitar playing as he's doing this ritual, and they're like, "Oh, that must be the openers. Let's go check them out." So they all go sit in the bleachers. Like, it's like not even like a stadium. Like, I don't even know what they were sitting in.
It was a theater, probably.
Yeah.
But they're all just like sitting apparently like far enough away to not understand that she's in danger.
Yeah, they think it's all part of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're rehearsing because her screaming and being like, "No, don't do it," you think would be a dead giveaway.
Yeah.
The best part is he just for like fucking 5 minutes he's just
Yes,
just staring at her playing the guitar.
They do the thing where he like switches from like top to bottom of the neck of the guitar. Like he's like playing both sides of the neck.
And they speed it up too at one point. He's like,
it just sounds like noise.
You're like, what is going on here? I don't even understand.
Yeah, like at first,
can you imagine?
The first time it was like romantic guitar music, and it was like, oh, this is nice.
Can you imagine? So look,
this is how you proposed to Sarah, isn't it? This is how you got her.
Listen. I'm gonna give you a little inside baseball of my life. I've played the guitar for plenty of girls, and I usually know what to play. And you like you said, romantic stuff. And then if I do some shredding, it's like there to impress for that moment. And so a couple runs and stuff, and like, oh, he's pretty good. He's really good. I couldn't imagine staring at somebody and just shredding for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
staring into their soul.
Yeah.
So this ending. He attacks him. They get into like the shittiest fight you'll ever see in your life. And he injects him with that. So the first girlfriend gets killed by food, right? Mm-hmm. He kills her with the food. The second girlfriend, what happens to the second? How does she? Well, there's 3.
Yeah.
So. What happened to the other? The other one he kills. He kills the other one.
Well, the one gets smushed by the speakers or whatever.
But the one before that,
yeah.
But the one before that gets killed by Angel. Remember, because she goes to kill Tracy Lord's character.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's what happened.
I remember because she was like in love with him, like.
She's like, didn't want to be replaced. She didn't want to just be replaced.
Yeah.
Because that's her spot. So, so she gets smashed, and then he injects him with the. So with that girl, we get like a transfer for all of them, like a transformation.
Oh yes.
So she's the cancer girl. So she she just goes bald.
Yeah. That was sad.
So, what's the other girl's affliction? She was just born deformed. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kept wondering, like, what is she just ugly? I forget. Like the one girl's caught on fire.
Yeah, like this is part of the writing that I was like, they couldn't have come up with anything other than cancer for the one girl. Like that's like the most horrible thing. Like. She like literally like her eyes got all sunk in and her hair was gone. It was like, ouch.
Yeah, well,
could have been like something else. I don't know.
The fact that Angel's head explodes is so fucking funny too. By the way,
it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
And the fact that he's like, hey, I'm picking a new career after this is so fucking dumb too.
Oh gosh.
He's like, so you're gonna go work for my dad? I'm not that desperate or something.
I'm not that desperate.
Yeah. Not that drastic of a because she said I'm in for a new drastic change and not that
career
drastic.
change. Yeah.
But so the movie ends with the voodoo priestess finding another rock and roller sitting on the bench, and then she has her glowing green eyes, and we end.
Ugh.
And you were probably like, this couldn't have come fast enough.
Yeah, I was like, finally, I'm like 10 minutes late for the podcast.
Dude, I had that exact same thing. I was like, well, did the math. I was like, oh, it's an hour and 35 minutes. If I watch it at this time, I can be on in time. Because I had to get Connor to bed and stuff. And then it's getting close to when I had to come up and, start everything. And I was like, how much time is in this? It feels like it's been on for a long time. I don't know where this movie can go next. And that's when I clicked the button and it said a half hour left. I was like, you've got to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah.
You've got to be kidding me.
An hour and a half felt too long for this.
So shock 'em dead. What are we thinking?
You think, Derek, you're muted?
We saw it coming, Lydia.
I wasn't muted. I mined it. I mined
you were muted. You were muted.
The best is Lydia and I both saw the microphone icon on. We waited for you to talk. We were waiting for you to talk, and you were like, as soon as you started talking, we're like, idiot.
Whatever. Be happy. I muted myself to cough these like 5,000 times.
I agree. Thank you for that. But what's funny is you had such a good last season. You did really good about not muting yourself. And season 5, it's been rough already.
Yeah. I mean, it couldn't have been as bad as like season 1 through 4 or 1 through 3.
No. 1 through 3 were rough. Yep. Garrick, what are we thinking?
Yeah. So. What did IMDb rate this mofo? Let's see. It gave it a 4.9.
4.9, almost a 5, which is wild to me, by the way.
Yeah. Hey, this movie has been popular recently.
It has.
Went up like 4,668 points or whatever.
I really wonder why.
I just recommended it to someone before I watched it. So
I think it's because we were about to watch it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Everybody just went out and watched it.
Yep. Like we got to get ready for this one.
So, so this movie really doesn't have a lot of like things that save it. So like cinematography was, they did it. I mean, the sound was there.
Sometimes
it was in color. I don't know this movie. I'm gonna give this movie a 2. You know what? Because I am I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna go 3.
What do you think, Lydia?
Yeah, I'm right there. I think I'll give it a 3 as well. I didn't know what to expect, but it wasn't this. But I will say, for how bad it was, I've seen worse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's about all I can say about this movie.
Yeah, guys. I mean, I don't even know. I don't want to be mean. I guess I'll give it 3 as well. I'm just going to be honest. I think this might be the worst movie we've actually reviewed on the podcast.
Really?
As far as quality?
Well, maybe. I mean, because at least the Munsters were like, the Munsters. Yeah,
Munsters was competently shot. It was, had production value and stuff. We hated the story, but it was at least somewhat coherent. This, I think, just like on a technical level and on a artistic level, is just the worst movie we've reviewed on the podcast, right? It kind of has to be.
It's not great. I'll be
like Lumberjack Man is a better film than this.
Right.
Lumberjack Man, I don't know why you guys dog it so much, okay? Because that movie was a diamond in the rough.
Yeah.
It was at least
rough
fun.
And rough.
You know what?
The rough and the rough.
I'll back it up because that was one of our highest viewed movie episodes. So,
because people wanted to see how bad it was.
Yep.
Maybe. Well, if that's the case, then this is going to be a hit.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I guess
Yeah.
I don't know of another movie that we've done that was shot quite like this one.
Yeah.
No,
I mean,
this one was.
You know, like, I mean, we had like Children of the Night, which was shot. I mean, like, I don't know. I just saw like a bad copy of it, but it looked like absolute garbage. But it still had like cool stuff.
Yeah, Children of the Night looked like a studio movie still.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. And that's fine. I mean, independent film. I love independent cinema, but this was just not it for me.
Yeah, this didn't feel like a good independent movie or anything like that.
No, it has some funny stuff in it, and they're going for that, I think, with some of it, but it just is. It's so weird.
It is strange.
I will
say the story wasn't terrible.
It was.
It was kind of terrible. It was kind of terrible.
It's terrible. The story is terrible.
I want to think like some of it was not all bad though.
Some of the music is pretty decent, like guitar. The guitar stuff is great. Michelangelo does that guitar double stuff, and the original songs have. So there's this. The score of this movie is just like this rock riff that just plays over and over.
Yeah.
And the riff's not terrible. It is when you hear it 6,000 times, but it's all right. Not a lot to recommend for this one, guys. You should check it out if you want to have your buddies together and you have a drink and you just want to have a good time. I guess this would maybe be a fun one to misty up, I guess. You could see this one as a misty, right?
Oh, right? Yeah. I was actually thinking that. I was like, maybe that's why it's popular, because like someone like that, or like
riff tracks or some shit. Yeah.
Riff track, or even like How Did This Get Made? Maybe is like gonna do it in the future.
It would be fun for that sort of thing. But hey, they made a movie, and good on you. But not the best.
Yeah.
As we say, not the best.
Yeah.
$100,000 budget in 1999 or 1990.
1991. Yeah. So if it's what's that? Do that calculation, Derek. That's more than we're going to make our movie for.
Oh, I'm looking it up right now. Let's see. That would be in today's money, $231,000.
So there you go.
Yep.
So that's Shock 'em Dead. So guys, it's time to agonize Shock 'em Dead.
Thrill me.
Pick somebody. Like anybody. He could replace the whole cast with look-alike Tom Atkins, and
it would improve the movie.
Yes. Yeah. I feel bad for Tom even being involved in this one if he had to be. This might be the first one to be like, Tom, you'd be better off not doing this one.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, we can't make him like the pizza guy or the tenant guy, like the trailer park
the
guy.
Shitter dude.
They both get killed like in stupid ways.
That's one thing we got to talk about. The landlord.
Oh gosh.
Scene makes no it makes no sense. I don't get it. Like, he goes there obviously to kill him and feed off of him.
Yeah.
But then he doesn't. And he just throws his TV out into the yard, and then the guy just runs off.
I didn't even realize that, because I was like, that's where I started like really tuning out of like this movie. It's ridiculous. It's getting too long.
Right, killing me, yeah.
Like they should have cut that whole scene out.
Yeah, it didn't need to be there. No.
You know what? Maybe he felt like him taking a shit and then getting his face put into it
would make him feel better.
Was bad enough.
Well, it was the porno on the TV that kept distracting him.
Yeah.
Because he said, don't do it. And then she's like, do it. Don't do it. Do it. Then he throws it outside. And the tenant's like,
oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That was so stupid.
Yeah, it's not the best. Next week, we are watching George Romero's seminal zombie film, like the omega of zombie films, the alpha and omega. It's all of it. It's the grand poobah. George Romero's 1978 classic, Stone Cold classic, Night of the Living Dead. Talk about your quality turnaround this week. We're going to get some whiplash here. George Romero's Dawn of the Dead, which is actually streaming on Amazon Prime. You can rent it there. You can also buy the the region-free 4K, or have one of those Blu-ray copies that I got 20 years ago, because it's hard to get in the States because of rights issues. So that's not great. But George Romero's 1978 Dawn of the Dead. All right. Movie news. We are chugging along. Please go get on that Indiegogo, which is right in the description. Check it out. Sign up if you would like to. And, watch the opening scene. Give it some thumbs up. Share it. All that stuff will help make the movie. Everything's coming along great. Casting, locations, crew, schedule, everything's kind of coming together. So just help us cross that finish line, and we will see you at the movies then, because I think you guys are really going to dig what we have in store for you. There's a lot of fun stuff, right, guys?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Got a super fun script, super scary scenes, some super gnarly kills, a lot of funny jokes. I think you guys will enjoy it. It's just a roller coaster ride of a good time. Also, you can go to the Facebook page and help us that way as well, and the website, HiLaProductions.com. So, next week, George Romero's 1978 Dawn of the Dead. I have to keep saying that because Zack Snyder made one in 2004. So, that gets confusing now. Kind of like Night of the Living Dead. Now you have to decide which one. So, George Romero's Dawn of the Dead is what we're watching. So, until then, for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hiles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies.